Hi guys, in today's video we've got this lovely Dapol B1 LNER in green. You can see the number there, 1234. Bit of an odd number really to give a loco. But if you can look at the details there, it is just exquisite. I can't stay away. I'm not really a steamer guy myself, but when I see something like this, it's irresistible. They are just gorgeous. Now, bought this off a chap, Sam. It's you again, mate. Now what I've done is I cleaned it off a little bit using my lovely pound band brush, because what I noticed straight away when getting it out of the box was the tyres had the traction tyres, which aren't on it at the moment. Don't worry about that. I'm just showing you the detail, what it looks like at the minute. The traction tyres had basically got to a point where they turned like black butter. It was really odd, really gooey and tarry. So I didn't want to put it on the track like that to test it. So I've just cleaned. I've literally taken the traction tyres off. They sort of scraped off, and I have pre-cleaned the wheels there with alcohol, just because I didn't want to mess my track up. And the loco was kind of covered in the stuff. So I've been very or shall we say, careful with a pair of tweezers, picking stuff out and brushing it down a bit. And this is what we've got, okay? So there is still an issue, and this is what I want to show you guys, because this thing will run, but what's happening is, or what's happened, I believe, is the wires going from the tender to the loco are broken. So in this video we're going to fix those, and I'll show you how I do them. It might be the right way, it might be the wrong way, but at the end of the day it's going to work. So you guys might be in a similar position to me here. Now this shares a lot of the same parts as all the other Dapol steam locos. I haven't removed the tender. I know this is on DC. I'm not planning to put it on DCC. All I'm planning to do is get it running right. So we've got some broken wires, and I'm going to show you why I'm going to fix them. So we'll take it over to the test track and I'll show you what's going on. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to call this graffiti corner, I think. It's a shady part of my layout. So I'm going to put power on, and it'll probably work because I cleaned the wheels down on, well, just overall clean them. So when I turn my controller on, there's no throttle setting at the moment. It's just the way my controller works. A lot of people have taken note on this. If you would like to know, basically the controller is the wrong controller, and it basically is sending a high voltage out, and it shouldn't be doing that. So it's buzzing when it's not actually working, but it helps me actually diagnose whether I've got an issue or not on the motor. Anyway, what we're looking for here is, what does it do, what does it not do? And it's working. It's not showing you how it's not showing you the issue. Basically, the only power this loco's getting is from the tender. So it's moving. I lift the tender, and it's now not getting any power, which over points is going to be a nightmare. And honestly, there you go. See, it's lost contact on the tender, so I'll just give it a nudge. I know the wires aren't good between the tender and the loco. The loco should also be sending power to where all the gubbins are in the back. The motor's in the back here in the tender. So I know it's getting power, but it could be getting better power. So we're going to address that issue now, and I'm just going to set up a little rig, and I'll show you what's going on here. So it works, and actually, before we do go over to that, I just want to show you it. Obviously it's like, that's not accurate speeds whatsoever. But overall, after clean up of those wheels, and bear in mind this hasn't got traction tyres, I'll show you that in a second. Yeah, Runs absolutely lovely. So I haven't really got to do. I've just got to really clean it and put some wires back on. So anyway, we'll go over to another bench and I'll show you exactly what's going on here. Okay, so here we are. What I've done is I've made a Lego creation that holds some foam on foam. So the train's upside down now in that, so it's not going to get harmed in any way. Be very careful because there's some really small details on the loco. What I've done is I've gone over some of the links and kind of bent them straight-ish back to where they should have been. These rims are the two rims that the traction tyres should be on, and they're not. And actually, I've found, so I've got the Britannia that you've seen in other videos, and that runs better than the William Woodsworth I've got, which has the traction tyres, exactly the same chassis. They run better without the traction tyres. It's almost like the axle's then allowed to slip around the corner because there's no differential in there. It's a very weird thing to explain, but this runs very smoothly. The problem we're having is a pickup issue, and obviously it does need more of a clean than I've given it. But again, I'm happy enough as it is. The only thing I need to sort out on this, so these wheels should be getting power to the tender area. We need to get power to this area, because at the moment on these Dapols, these wheels are fine. There's actually pickups on each axle, so that's how it's working at the moment. There's some wires just here, and I'll show you this. This one here, it's not attached, and this one here, not attached either. So really, I'm going to have to just sort them out, because when I do, then there shouldn't be any pickup errors. It should be able to then get some power from the loco end as well as the tender. So this helps a heck of a lot when you go around a corner or over some not great track, or more to the point, it won't struggle as much with points. So the more pickups you can put on a loco, the better. So what we're going to do is, or what I'm going to do for your viewing pleasure, is literally fix these wires. I would suspect DCC Supplies probably sell something that could fix your problem if you've got this as a problem. I can't say for sure, but it's worth looking on their website. I'll put that in the description. So just feel free to go and have a look if you are having this issue. You might be able to buy the wires already sort of on their pieces. It's quite straightforward, but it's just very fiddly work. So you want to get yourself some decent screwdrivers that fit these screws properly. So I'll just show you one of them. He says, I haven't taken this out yet. Yeah, so before I mince that up, I need a better fitting screwdriver. So what I'm going to do is take those out. Let's see if this one works. The bits on these are so small. I'm amazed you can get screws that small. I'm going to come back in a minute with a better screwdriver, but I just wanted you to see what we've got going on here. That's the main issue there. Traction tyre wise, I'm not overly fussed leaving them off. I'll probably just leave them off. The only time I think that they would really be useful is if you wanted to pull 10 coaches, but if you've got free running coaches, my Britannia actually does pull 10 coaches around corners with no traction tyres. So yeah, by all means you can have traction tyres on, but everyone I've taken off, the traction tyres that I've taken off on all my locos, not all of them, but the Britannia and this one, they actually run better around the track without them, which is bizarre. But the only thing that I can think of is literally the inside wheel is turning less than the outside wheel without friction with the traction tyres. That doesn't bog the loco down. So now that you haven't got the traction tyres, in my case, it just allows one wheel to slip ever so slightly. And because every single axle is actually gear driven and then linked, it's essentially like, well, a 6-wheel drive. Anyway, I'll stop gibbering on and I'll get a screwdriver and we'll take them screws out. Okay, so I've got a better fitting screwdriver. It's not ideal, this, for showing you, but they should just unscrew. I mean, I'm almost tempted to leave the screws in and actually just wire, which I might have to do, feeling that there. Yeah. Right, so the correct way is to remove the screw. However, when you undo this screw, it's turning the piece that the screw is actually stuck in. And on the other screw, kind of the same deal, which isn't ideal. It's a bit foobarred. Can you see that? Look. We've got a bit of an issue there. It's not the end of the world. It's a bit problematic though. What I'm going to do, because I would like this to work. Right, so in your case, there's a screw under here, there's a screw there, there's a screw there, and there's a screw there. I think I'm going to remove this link if it will come out. So there's a middle screw. I'm not going to edit this video too much because I want you to see kind of what my thought process is here. Now I've removed this middle screw, okay? That goes there. Put that to one side. They're very small, so be very careful. Now that's the tender, basically free to move. Except, don't forget, your prop shaft is connected inside the loco. Now, let's just have a look here. Okay, so if you're going to do this, you've got the screw there, that has to go to this screw here. That screw has to go to that screw there with wires. Now the way Dapol have done this is they fed a wire here and it goes all the way around to there. And then this one goes all the way around to there. And the reason they've done that is so it's got a longer length, so it will flex more when the tender moves. If you just had a wire going from there to there, when this goes around a corner, it will just derail because you know, this one will go tight and this one will go short. At least with a longer length of wire, it kind of snakes its round. It gives it enough flex in the system. Now, what I'm gonna do, if you have the same issue, you can buy new wires and try and put them on. I would recommend trying to get these screws out first, because in this one, that one's not coming out, and that one's not coming out either. Something's just broken on it. So the wires the other end here, I'm not even going to attempt to remove them from the screws here. What I'm going to do is cut the wires off, and I'm going to solder some new wires to these posts. But when I put the wires in, I'm going to go all the way around here and up there and solder it back on there. And the same here, I'll go there and go all the way around here. And when I put wire on, I'm going to make it a very thin, flexible wire to hopefully, I think the wire I've got slightly thinner than this, which is handy. Now I'm just going to cut it off of some LED lights I've got. I couldn't tell you what gauge it is. It's very thin stuff, and I'm going to try and use some black wire. Now this should, I think, lift out. It does. You'll be very careful. Very, 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 very careful. And I'd even go as far to say, I think it clicks in. Yeah, so the ends click into the tender sides. So this, you be very careful trying to get them in and out. I might even have to put dots of super glue on that to keep it back in. I just removed it so I've got easier access. Now, I'm also going to remove this screw here, which is extremely loose. So that will come out. Now, I'm going to hold the link with my tweezers so it doesn't drop into the chasm. Oh wow, yeah, that's foobarred as well. So the bit that it screws into is basically come out. Not the end of the world, because what I'm going to do is just super glue it back in. Again, probably, I would imagine someone's going to watch this and really hate what I'm doing here. but I want my loco to work, so I'm going to make it work, and it's going to be good. Problem is here, that that brass bit there has actually come out of now what looks like a cracked hole in the tender. You could put new bits on if you like. I'm sure DCC supplies would have tender chassis and things, so you could change the whole chassis if you wanted to. That's also loose, and that one's not loose. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just solder some new wires on, and then I'll put all those bits back together and we should be good to go. So in a minute I'll play around and I'll just see what we've got. If anything changes I'll let you know, but my plan is just to solder some wires on, and we'll be back in a minute and I'll show you before I put the link on what I've done. Okay, I'm showing you this because this is where I'm at. I've soldered some wires onto them posts. They are extremely thin. They're thinner than what came with Dapol. And the wire, again, sorry, I don't know what the gauge is. It is insulated wire. It's black. And it normally comes on, I got a load of 402 pre-wired LEDs. So I've just cut a bit of black wire off of one of the LEDs to use the wire. I'm not overly fussed about its current rating, as long as it's something that's getting power to the tender, and we should be good. Not the prettiest jobs in the world. By far, but you can see how what I've done is I've fed that one there goes this way and that one there goes this way, and the reason for that I'll show you in a minute. We're going to solder these onto the tender, so I'll come back in a minute and I'll show you what I've done there. Okay, I'm going to show you one and then I'll do the other. It's not for the faint-hearted at all. This is really quite a tricky thing to do. So I've got the wire coming from that post going all the way round this cracked part here to that post, and remember you've got to loop it round. So this one will also go round here, and I just need to solder it onto there. I've pre-soldered the posts basically. I did remove the tender a minute ago. Don't worry, the prop shaft just pops out and pops back in if you have to remove. Yeah, so it's not pretty by any means, but it's going to do the job, and it's very, very fiddly. You can see all the bits and bobs underneath here, bits of grass. But really, I think this is going to work quite nicely. I think an easier way of doing this might be to have a bit more loose wire and wrap it round the post, and then come here and wrap it round that post. So then you're not trying to tweezer the bit of wire on and solder it. You can just solder it on because it's held on with its twist, if that makes sense. It would just make it harder to remove the wire at a later date. So I've just opted to just touch it on the side and touch it with the soldering iron. So I'll get on with this next one. I'm not showing you my soldering because I'm not really. It's just awkward to get the camera in there, I think, whilst I'm soldering. It's really tricky. So I'm just gonna keep doing this, showing you bit by bit. Okay, so we're back. I've put both wires back on there. Again, not the prettiest in the world, but it's just to show you don't need new bits to fix trains. Next thing to do here is that screw is loose on the link, which is good. I'm just going to leave it like that. And what I'm going to do is put a touch of super glue in that hole and put it in the hole. Now some people use epoxies. I don't use epoxies. I like the super glue. And then what we're left, you see, is with this one here. The screw comes in and out of this one, so if you have to remove the tender in the future, I can literally just unscrew that screw and leave that one in. So you just got to think a little bit ahead. If these were both super glued in, which I don't need to on the loco side, you'd have a bit of a problem later on down the road. So without further ado, I'll put some super glue on and put it back together, and that's pretty much it. Alright, so I've just put a dot of super glue on that and popped it back in. Just got to put the screw back on and we can go test this on the track. Magnetic screwdrivers are a good one because they'll hold the screw for you. Like on a lot of locos, it's going to be hard to show you this because it is so small. Basically, undo it until it clicks. And then you screw it the correct way, and the screw will go in the hole. Now the reason I'm showing you that as well is sometimes it's very easy to cross thread a screw. Now I'm not doing very tight at all. That screws in. The reason I say go back until you feel a click is it's because the thread jumps down the hole, and that's where the thread is going to start. If you just mince them in, you can cross thread the screws. So anyway, I think that's kind of it for the minute. I'm not too worried about cleaning it some more. You know about the traction tyre, that's not on, but we'll take it to the track and we'll see what we get. We should have better running because now the front should be giving power to the back. That's the theory. So let's go try it out. Right guys, right, so we've done the wires. Sorry about the shakiness, I'm holding it. I'm going to put power on. Now if I lift the tender, that noise shouldn't stop, it should continue. Which it does. Oh, I lifted the loco there. Yeah, so basically the loco's giving the tender power, and that's what we were after. So she's running a treat. Let's do some montage videos, I think. Right guys, this is no traction tyres, okay? "18 coaches, and it doesn't struggle at all. It's not slipping, nothing." So you can kind of judge how long the track is by me doing that. It's crazy, isn't it? Now what I'm going to do here as well is I'm going to pull away so you can see those. I think it's 18 coaches. I didn't see a wheel slip, did you? Just whiz it past here so you can see them all. Let's go backwards, see if that's any different. It's struggling, mind you, they are heavy. I'll go a bit slower. I just wanted to show you because a lot of people are like, oh, you need the traction tyres. Well, in this case, kind of don't. Wait up. And to top that, this is the smaller Dapol loco. So the Britannia, it's got more like weights in it. It can pull more. I would show you my layout from bird's eye view, but that's not a good idea because I've got junk everywhere. I'll show you it running around the track setup we've got at the minute. Okay, so I think we'll end the video there. And as you can see, traction tyres aren't an issue, and neither are the pickups now. It runs lovely. So she's going to live alongside my other steamers for the time being until the layout's sorted out. But yeah, there's no trickery or anything. And also, actually, I found a way you can pinch the tender and the loco either side there. And that's how I tend to pick these up, just in case you were wondering. But for the time being, that's it guys. So hopefully this video has been interesting. And I counted 18 coaches. I mean, I'm moving that physically. That's almost like pulling a kilo across the track. That's quite a lot of pulling there. I'm just going to whisk through these so you can see what exactly it was pulling. And there's also a corner both ends, so it wasn't, you know, it's harder to pull them around a corner than it is in a straight line. So there's no inclines, but that's not easy. No traction tyres. The loco isn't exactly heavy either, really. Yeah, no trickery there at all. So, to be honest, I prefer just taking the traction tyres off, and I will do probably on the others when they break. So yeah, I think that's it now. So, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.